it's me, Clinton, and this is a Where's Mine podcast. So glad you're here. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I said Where's My Mind. I don't know if I said Where's My Mind. I think I said Where's Mine podcast, but it's cool. I have been talking about wanting to talk about time and like my philosophy on time for like the last month now. So I want to like give you my philosophy on time, or like document or like record my philosophy on time. My grand theory, and like something I said last week as well, is the only time that exists is now. The youngest you will ever be is right now. I truly believe that statement. I truly believe that thought. I don't think, and it's true though. Like the only time that exists is like this moment. Like you listen to this episode or me recording this episode right now. The only time that exists in my realm is this moment. The only time that exists for you right now is like listening to my voice talking to you or like watching this podcast episode. And the youngest you would ever be is this moment. I've recorded this podcast episode, guess, 3 times. I'm older right now because I was younger recording those episodes. I'm more mature right now. Like I said in the episode last week, I don't like the gamification of one's life because, like, the example I gave is like if you're like, let's say you live from 18 to like 29 and then you lose at 29, you don't have like the means to go back to 18 to start over so you don't lose at that level at 29. You don't have the means. Or, but you can like retry and like rebuild your life. You can like on my notes here it says you can't redo, but you can retry. And by retrying, you learn from like the mistakes at 21 or like 25 or 28 and then reinvent yourself in 20 like, in your 30s. I truly believe that's how life goes. I don't think you should ever, like I said, we live in a perpetual present. The only thing that exists is in the now. Like tomorrow literally does not exist. I'm not. This is also like later on the note, and I'm not saying you should not plan for like the future, but remembering that this moment that you are like we are in and what you are right now, like what you lost or like what you gained is all due to what you did in your past presence, which is your past. And what you would be, let's say you want to be like Bella Hadid, then you have to like always remember to live the present of what you think a Bella Hadid thin person is going to be, and eventually be a Bella Hadid thin person. Was walking out of the gym today and I missed the bus like I was meant to take. It's like the bus just drove past me, and my gym is like 15 20 minutes, a 20-15 minute walk away from the bus stop. So I had to walk to that bus stop, and that's when I started thinking of the outline, and that's when I started writing the outline in that 20-minute walk, like trying to like pull all of my thoughts that I've been thinking of for like the last 4 weeks and come up with like this episode, like this outline for this episode. And I was like, I would have taken that bus and I would have gotten home at 8:30 at that time. But now I'm gonna take the bus that's coming at 9 and I'm gonna get home at 9:30. And I was like, hmm. There's like there was like a big discrepancy with like my thoughts on like time in the past and like my thoughts on time now. Like I always believed if I lost like the time then, the time I'm experiencing now was is the same as the time I would have experienced then. I don't know if that makes sense. Like the saying like the bus is gone. I always believed that if I missed that bus, the next bus I'm taking is exactly the same way I would have experienced that last bus. But on thinking of it on my walk, my short 20-minute walk, I believe that the experience I would have had on that bus is truly different from the experience I had on the bus I took. Or I know this bus example is like very like simple, but like think of like your crush, like the procrastination of wanting to like approach your crush, or like the procrastination of wanting to like start a paper, the way that like writing music and like for the EP, I've noticed like the ideas I have at the beginning of a song There's a song on my EP called I Was Two, and the song trajectory was meant, it's all about envy. And the song trajectory was meant to like follow this line of like me being jealous of this person's dad, and eventually this person's dad becomes my dad. And at the end of like my writing, at the end of like the 3 weeks of like writing this song, the song took a very deep like turn from like me and this person, me having this person's dad, to me hoping this person's dad dies. So this I don't, so this person can like have the same experience as I did without a dad, if that makes sense. And like I said, like I said, the bus, once it's gone forever. And I'm not saying that you're not gonna get on another bus or you're not gonna get another moment to like talk to Tripod or talk to Cecilia or talk to Johnny. But I truly believe that there is that like time you had with Cecilia or that time you had with Tripod is only at that time, if that makes sense. And it's from experience, like experiences I've had in recent weeks and like recent months that I would eventually share with you. On time, I believe we should meet more people and make more friends and document our existence privately or publicly if you want to take that mile. And I'm like I had a conversation with someone in January of this year, and the person said, I was talking to the person about my EP, and I was like, nobody's gonna listen. It's gonna be only two people, and I'm gonna be one of the two. And the person was like, you should not create for potential virality. You should only create because you truly want to create. And I was like, that's like the smartest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because I think you should document not because you want to be Bella Hadid or like Emma Chamberlain or any famous person, insert famous person here. I think you should document because you want to keep and cherish these moments of your life. And I saw a video on Instagram and I saw multiple videos and I think I have hopefully I will have like a new editing style, who knows. But I'm gonna like try as much as possible to like link what I'm seeing that relates to this episode. But I think we should all document our existence because, and the reason why I say we should make friends and like meet with people is because eventually we will all cease to exist. And when we all cease to exist, the relationships we cultivated on the planet is what is going to keep us in memory. I don't know if that made sense, but I think our relationships is what makes us, or our relationships is our existence. Like you can't exist without having a relationship with anything or like anyone. I think you truly have to have a relationship with somebody or something to be seen as human. And in turn, I want you and me and everybody who's listening to this to put your life and like yourself in the role of making an impact in someone else's life. And I think I've said multiple stories on this podcast of people making impacts in my life in like negative ways. But I want us to make impacts in other people's lives in positive ways. And making impact in people's lives in positive ways could not always mean being like nice to them. It could mean going to them and like telling them the bitter truth that not a lot of people are going to like relate to them. I think that is essential on time. I think when we can create impact in other people's lives, it's like very. I think it's one of like the most important things, in my opinion, from like thinking of time for the last several months. I think impact outweighs any other like measurements in life. I think impact is like more important than everything, and you could like be a negative impact in someone else's life or you could choose to be positive, hopefully be positive in somebody else's life. Because I think when we impact someone's life, like I've said multiple stories, I don't know if I've told you multiple stories, but I've told like several stories, not directly, indirectly. I've told stories directly and indirectly of like situations I've had in my life that's like impacted my life. And I think even if those people no longer exist in my orbit, they will always exist in their impact will always exist in my neurosis and will always exist in my psychology and my subconscious.
There is one scene from one movie that has single-handedly pulled me out of some of the darkest periods of my life. Periods where I have thought to myself, what am I doing wrong? What is it that I'm missing? Why can't I function? Even after 20 years, this still lands.
Say this blanket represents all the matter and energy in the universe, okay? You, me, everything. That this is me, right? And let's say over here, this is you. And then over here, this is the Eiffel Tower, right? It's Paris. And this is a war. And this is a museum. And this is a disease. And this is an orgasm. And this is a hammer.
Everything is the same, even if it's different.
Exactly. But our everyday mind forgets this. We think everything is separate, limited. I'm over here, you're over there, which is true. But it's not the whole truth. We need to learn how to see the blanket truth all the time. Right in the everyday stuff.
How?
When you get the blanket thing, you can relax because everything you could ever want or be, you already have and are. That sound pretty good?
Sounds very good.
Like I don't know how to explain this. I think a lot of people are not living their lives. I think a lot of people are going with the flow or like just copying. I want us to like live our life, I want us to be creative about our choices and then like what we do with our lives. I want us to choose like move to like Portofino for like a random Tuesday and stay there for 7 years and then move back home, or like choose to like leave our hometown and like choose to like emigrate somewhere else and like learn the language. I want us to live. I want us to. I read Jane Birkin's book last year and this was so good. And she like lived. And I'm not saying the phones are like bad, but like they're encouraging like a very typical life. I knitted this beanie. I don't know if I said that. Okay, this is the first time I've seen this beanie. Next week you're gonna see the other beanie I knitted. That one, that beanie is green. I like I said in like the bus one, but this one is like something that like hit me, and I could not unthink of it. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but I promise you, today would never repeat itself ever again. Tuesday next week might come, but it's never gonna be Tuesday today. Tuesday next week, yeah, you go to work, blah blah blah, but yeah, no, it's never gonna be the same. Or yeah, you went to uni today, blah blah blah. No, it's never going to be exactly like today. Today is like a unique experience, and it's never gonna happen again. So live your life. And when people are like, criticizing your choices to live your life, I don't want to say you should like ignore them. I want you to exist despite the criticism. So you're not ignoring them. You acknowledge that they disagree with whatever, and you still choose to exist. I think that's really powerful.
You keep going around. I went to this school. Which school did you go to? You are an imperialist. That's just the crown in your head. If you keep going around talking about your reputation of so and so because he's a Christian, he can't steal or he can't do this, you are an imperialist. That's just your emperor's robes. So, and if you go around with this classism, trying to judge someone by where he comes from, where he went to school, what ethnic group he is. These things, it's a casual glance that sees them as petty prejudice like tribalism. But in truth, those are imperialism.
I had this conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago. She's a friend. She listens to this podcast, but and when I was having a conversation with the person, until I left the call, I did not think of this. The person was like talking about somebody else, and the person like says, "At least I'm like this person." And in my head, I was like, I know that is wrong, but I don't know why I like disagree with this person. And then I thought of it more, and I believe that no matter who you are or what you are, or let's say you're a doctor or you're a philosophist or philosophy, it's a philosopher. I said philosophist. Or you're a philosopher, or you're a psychologist, or you're a sociologist. I believe that if you're like anything and you see someone who is just a simpleton and you think, oh, my life is like better than that person's life, or I'm smarter than that person, you're exactly the same thing to somebody else. Like someone who's like, I refrain from using the word better, but like someone who's like better than you can say, at least I'm not like that person. And someone who's like better than that person could also say the same about that person. So I just want us not to think of ourselves being better than another, or ourselves being the all in all, or like better than Juliana. I think the comparison with our lives with other people who do better than us or other people who do less than us is overdone, and we need to like roll it back and exist in the fullness of our reality. I don't know if that made sense, but it did to me.
Time it takes to achieve something doesn't typically put me off of doing it because the time is going to pass anyway. At uni, I studied aeronautical engineering with an integrated master's and a year in industry. That's a 5-year degree. 5 years is going to take so long when you're 18. The time is going to pass anyway. Gym progress doesn't happen overnight. It takes weeks, months, years of training, but that time is going to pass anyway, so I might as well start now. I'm okay with things taking long because time is going to pass regardless, so I might as well do it anyway.
I'm not saying that we should not have like a plan for our lives. I believe that having a plan for what you think your life might be is important. And working towards that plan is like one of like the most important thing to like multiple people. But I want you to also like take into account that that plan could go awry. I will tell you two stories, and viewers' discretion is advised. There's no like graphic thing here. But like if you hear the story and you don't want to listen too long, then take a break and come back to this episode. I heard of this story of this man. He was a business like man. He was in his like 60s. He was about to retire. Like I think it's like 64, 65 people retire. He was about to retire. He had money in his like 401k. He had a house. He lived a very comfortable life. He was going to have a great retirement. He had like investment, blah blah blah. And he was like coming back from the gym this Thursday, and he was like riding his bike in a park, or not a park, in the street side, and a tow truck like hit him, and he lost his mobility. He could not move anymore. Like his dream retirement life never happened. He worked for this future that is no longer a reality, and now he gets 24/7 care. Like he might die if he doesn't have 24/7 care. And in his plans, I could I like truly I could tell you that that was never on his plan. He never planned to be hit by a bus or like by a tow truck, but he got hit. Or this woman who's like in her late 20s. She just moved to Austria to like teach English, I think. And then she was just driving. She was literally driving, and a truck hit her vehicle, and she's now disabled. I think we make plans for this future that we don't know what it's gonna be, and eventually we get to this time. That's why I started this episode with like the only time that exists is now. And it's not to say that these people's like future turned out bad. This is their reality now. Like a video that I hope has played in this like um episode is like everything, like no matter what happens, it happens like it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. I don't know. I don't know what to say. When I first like heard these two people's stories, I felt really bad for them. And it made me feel existential because I was like, what's the point of like all of this? But at the same time, I truly believe that truly existing in the now is the most important thing. And judge like comparing yourself like tripod is like doing better than me or blah blah blah. I know it's like the human condition to compare, but like I need you to break that pattern today or the loop will repeat tomorrow from last week's episode. Like literally break that pattern of like comparing yourself to somebody else because that loop will repeat tomorrow if you don't break that pattern. Um yeah.
A year ago today, I was very depressed. I think, 2 mental breakdowns away from being in a psych ward. I had no money. I still have no money, but things were looking rough. Today, I am sitting on a couch at my godsister's house. We are about to watch season 4 of Bridgerton and eat Chinese. The point being that things do eventually get better. It doesn't seem like they're going to get better in the moment, and sometimes you wonder how on earth is that true. But time does pass and wounds do heal, and you'll be able to enjoy things like a cheeky Chinese on a Saturday night again. Someday.
And I want you to be nice. Like be nice. Be nice to every single person you meet. But being nice doesn't mean being a fool. Don't let people play you for a fool. Like I've been played for a fool far too many times. Like don't let anybody play in your face. If someone's playing in your face, like cut them off. And some people are gonna steal your time, and don't let them steal too much of your time. I saw this video on Instagram. I don't know how I can download videos on Instagram, but I saw this video on Instagram, and this girl was talking about a degree, and she said it was going to take like 6 years, I think. And a lot of people think of like 6 years, and I would think of 6 years. I used to think of 6 years as like this long stretch of time. And then she said something really profound. I think she's in her early 20s. And she said, no matter what happens, the time will pass. Like, if she doesn't do it or she does it, the time will literally pass. Like, no matter what happens in your life or my life or anybody's life, whatever you want for yourself, let's say they say, oh, to get this, it's gonna take 40 years. Okay, it's gonna take 40 years, but if you choose not to do it, the 40 years will still pass. No matter what happens, the time will pass. The time will pass. If you choose to opt in or opt out, the time will pass. The time will either pass with you participating in that activity or pass without you participating in the activity. I have spoken about this on my therapy sessions with my AI bot, ChatGPT, and I want to talk to you about it today. I struggle with being perceived in the moment of doing stuff. I like a nonchalance of my result, like portraying my results nonchalantly. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I like portraying my results nonchalantly. I Like I like having a nonchalance with portraying my results. Like, oh, I did not work hard for like 500 followers on Instagram. I just got it from like just posting one post, from my posting one photo, or oh, I have like 2,000 like listeners on Spotify only. I just like posted one podcast episode. I hate being observed in the moment, and I know those numbers I called it very small, but to me they're big. Um, I hate being in the moment. No, 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 not being in the moment, but I hate working towards something and having an audience peer into that project, or have it like an audience having like accessibility to me failing or like succeeding in something but not succeeding high enough for it to be deemed a success, if that makes sense. I hate when I post a photo or a video, it gets only 2 likes. I'm like, I'm not posting it anymore. I've said this, but I don't think you should compare yourself. I know I said this in like a podcast episode like 2, 3 years ago now, and I said the only time you should compare yourself is to compare yourself to your past self. I don't believe you should compare yourself to anything. I don't. I think like this whole episode, I think you should live, and comparing yourself to your past self. Let's say you're better or worse. I don't believe in that anymore, and I'm so glad with like the caption on the podcast because it says a thought I had like 2 weeks ago, or like this thought I'm having today. I could come here tomorrow and tell you I don't believe this. And that's why I'm telling you about like comparing yourself with like your past self. Not only not comparing yourself with like people, I believe you should not compare yourself with like you from 12 or like you from 15. Like you're a different person. And I want you to remember this. When I heard this, I was like, that's true. That's a true line. That's a true line. The only person that is present and that has evidence of your life 100% is you. I was talking to my auntie about this, and we're talking about like the situation with my father, and she was like criticizing him, and I was like, I would have joined her, but I can't tell you what that person's life was like. But we can only judge from like the information we have. But I believe that there's a lot more information that we are not privy to. We can only judge from our high horses because of this person's mistake. I think there are a lot of situations that happen in our life, and we have like a sliver, or like other people have a sliver of what we did, and they judge from that information. And I don't think that's the right way to like exist. I think you should fall in love. I think you should cry. I think you should scream. I think you should buy gifts. I think you should be present. And I think that's what time is. I think time is like a combination of all of those events in one. I think that's what our time is, and what my time is, and what your time is. And I want you to remember that tomorrow is never coming. Like, tomorrow never comes. When you wake up the next day, it's today. Tomorrow never comes. And lastly, I know I spoke about the bus, but is there like an alternative timeline or time leap where I made a bus? And my honest answer is I don't know. I don't know who I would have been if I made the bus at 8:30 instead of 9. And I really don't know. I really don't know who I would have been if there's like a time leap where I'm like a different person, like in with different choices. And that's something I will have to like continue thinking of. I have not read a lot this like month, or like for the last 2 months I've not read, but I'm going to like do more reading and work on my anger because I'm getting angry a lot recently. I've been getting very irritated and frustrated by people. Um, but yeah, this episode was recorded 4 times with multiple interruptions. Truly, that's all that has been on my mind. I'll speak to you next week in a fun episode, which I hope makes the cut.